Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to True Gunners TV. Yes, we're back with another video. Of course, it is the big game of the weekend. Arsenal taking on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and I had to bring a Chelsea fan across to the channel as well. Big up Fats, by the way. This is the first time, people. This is the first time that me and Fats have spoken. This is the first time that me and Fats have shared a video together. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. Of course, big up Igao as well for suggesting my man here to come on the channel. And it's an honor to have you on, bro. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I'm glad. We got that club football back. After the dross of the international break. It's kind of ruined our momentum, but at the same time, yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a conversation that we're gonna have, man.
It certainly is. And look, I couldn't agree with you more, to be fair. International breaks are the worst, bro. They're the worst. And I don't know about you, but I'm one who I've got such an obsession with football that
Yeah,
I don't just watch Arsenal games. I watch as many Premier League games as I possibly can. The missus hates it. Yeah, she hates
yeah,
it. So she loves international breaks because it means I get to spend time with her. But 2 weeks, that's long, bro. It's long. It's long, especially
long.
watching Southgate ball as well. That's mad. It's mad. So, but yeah,
At least you know what? At least I'm glad to see some of the Chelsea players kind of bulling out like Mudryk. I saw him the other day. He scored a goal against Malta a couple of days ago, and then Enzo banging one assist in Argentina. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend, but at the same time, it kind of ruined the momentum that we've had after the Burnley game, in my opinion.
okay, yeah, that's an interesting take, and quite possibly. Obviously, like I say, me and you have never shared a platform together. This is the first conversation we're having.
Yeah.
So let me get your thoughts on Chelsea. Chelsea as a whole, of course, finished 12th last season.
hmm
Since Roman Abramovich has left, you've brought in Todd Bowley, spent over £1 billion on your squad. And yeah, so far this season, it's not been great. Of course, like you say, you had a bit of momentum after Burnley going into the international break. What's your expectation for Chelsea this season?
My expectation for me after on the back of the one of the worst season that I had as a Chelsea fan's life, actually this is the second time I've seen since 2016 when we finished 10th. And last season it was much worse compared to the one that in 7 years ago in 2016 when after that we won the league. Um, I couldn't agree with you more. Like it hasn't been that a great of a start since Abramovich has left. But at the same time, we got the new ownership. Todd Bowley came in a year ago, and then he kind of like rectified the things behind the scenes, signing players left, right, and center. Recruitment wise, hasn't been that great in my opinion. We bought 9 players in one window, and the strategy wise has been not that good. And the fact that I get what Bowley's doing in the next couple of years' time, he had this idea, but for me, my criticism will be the execution of the idea that are still far off. But coming into this season, it was always going to be of getting players out of the club, transfer in and out. You got the likes of Nkunku, Gusto, Ugochukwu as well. The signings. For Lavia, Caicedo, I could name at least a couple of more players than that. But at the end of the day, it's just like getting the right manager in. But at the moment, it just goes to show, I think that at the moment that the way that the club are running things, Poch is the right guy to move forward, though.
Okay, that makes sense. So, that kind of answers my question, my next question, which would have been, about the manager. What do you
Mhm.
think of Pochettino? Do you think he can get Chelsea competing again and this, that, and the other? So you kind of answered, that one. I share similar views with you. As an outsider looking in terms
Mhm.
of Chelsea, I think it will come together eventually. It's like quite ironic to me how everybody's going down this youth project kind of lane at the moment. Arteta's done it at Arsenal. Ten Hag's trying to do it at Manchester United. You're seeing Ange Postecoglou doing it at Tottenham. Of course, Pochettino at Chelsea as well. everybody likes a youth project. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I've always said when you guys started putting players on the Bowley, obviously a lot of people were like, Jesus Christ, Chelsea is serious. Like, but I always thought that you was bringing in too many players at once in order for them to gel. And obviously there's a few players there that haven't come in and hit the ground running. There high expectations on them. Players like Mikhailo Mudryk, who was wanted by Arsenal, of course, spent a lot of money on him, a lot of money on Enzo Fernandez. And I look at Chelsea and I think you've got a few years to kind of build this back up. And it's mad. It's mad to say, because I think if we was talking about any other club that had spent that sort of money, I think the expectation would be to compete for a league title again. But obviously going down the kind of youth side of things has kind of saved Todd Bowley and Chelsea, in my opinion, from having that expectation of being up there, because people understand, of course, they've seen Arteta and Arsenal, that youth projects take time. Yeah, it's mad. Like, when you think of it, £1 billion spent, any other team that spends that sort of money would have the expectation to win, to win the league. So it's crazy, really. Like, where do you think Chelsea will finish this season?
You know what? From the beginning, I would predict us to finish at least around that European football spot, maybe 5th to 7th. But at the moment, it's just like we're not in the position that we are now. Of course, it's due to the fact that we got the injuries. Our performance the last couple of months since the August, after we lost to 10-man West Ham, hasn't been that great. We only scored 1 goal in the month of September. That was the worst month I've seen so far in the Chelsea, as a Chelsea fan. That was against Brighton, of course, a B team Brighton in the League Cup. And it's been a weird situation, because I feel like Poch trying to do things in the way that he put Colwell as a left back. It doesn't make any sense for me. When we got Ben Chilwell play as a left wing at the same time. You've got arguably two fullbacks, one of the best fullbacks in the league right now, arguably in the sidelines right now, injury. At the moment, it's practically you've got Malagusto and Cucurella that being healthy. And then you've got Lavia on the sideline as well. And Kunku's going to come in back in around of January. Fofana, it's going to be around like March time. So it's a complicated things that are happening at the football club right now. But at the moment, Poch is not helping himself with the way that he's trying to set up the players, in the certain games. For example, against Bournemouth away, you don't come there to play for a draw. That is, I think, a silly approach. And then lost to Nottingham Forest at home, lost to Aston Villa at home as well. So all of those points that we should be picking off, we lost it all.
Yeah, that's true. We've got a great question here from the People's Pundit CFC. Big up yourself. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody that is tuning in, make sure you're slapping up that like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel as well. I know it's an Arsenal channel and there's Chelsea fans in here, but it'd be very much appreciated. And of course, head over to, is it Bridge?
No, it's a Chelsea Fan TV, guys. So
Chelsea Fan TV,
as well. Catch me on there as well for the podcast, and also Carefree Lewis as well, guys.
Yeah, and follow Fats on Twitter as well. Yeah, go over and do that, guys. Make sure you do that as well. Question here from the People's Pundit says, do we all agree that there is more pressure on Arsenal to win on Saturday? What do you think about that?
I agree. There is a lot of pressure with you guys, and that is the fact, because this is the fourth year in a row you guys are going to come to Stamford Bridge, and since Chelsea won the league in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, we only won 3 times. I think four times out of 8 meetings. So you guys have been at that since the FA Cup final in 2017. You guys have been getting number over us. And then I think there's a lot of pressure for you guys, because this is going to be 4th season in a row because he already picked up 3 consecutive wins at Stamford Bridge. That is crazy, in my opinion. I've never seen that in my lifetime before in my life. Normally when we play Arsenal at home, I always see us. Oh, it's Arsenal. You know what? It's easy, and we just bully him left, right, and centre. But right now, I'm feeling kind of like a bit of pressure on my hands because it's Arsenal. I don't want to see you guys getting 4 wins in a row at Stamford Bridge. But for you guys, it's just a massive pressure on the back of the Man City victory last week. And it goes to show that are you guys going to be the real man or the real title contender that everyone talked about?
Again, I'm in total agreement with you. Definitely more pressure on Arsenal, 100%. Like you say, 4th season under Arteta. It's a 5-year project, so we're being told this is the 4th year. We competed. We competed for a league title last season. I'm expecting us to do the same again at a very minimum. I'm expecting Arsenal to do well in the Champions League as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the important thing, he has to win a trophy this season, Mikel Arteta. All of them 3 criterias has to be met. If they're not met, then unfortunately he has to be sacked, in my opinion, because again, we're talking about Chelsea spending $1 billion. This guy spent 600 million since he's been manager, and these are all his players. He handpicks the players, whereas the Chelsea's £1 billion spent. A lot of them players I felt was handpicked by Todd Bowley more than it was the manager. So it's a different kind of scenario for me. But yeah, there's more pressure on Arsenal, 100%. We've got a very good record at Stamford Bridge in recent times. You're absolutely right with that one. And if we are serious, we have to go and make a statement against Chelsea, because otherwise, like you say, that victory against Manchester City means absolutely nothing. You play City twice a year. You've got to beat everybody else as well. And the thing is Arsenal last season, they were battering teams. They were absolutely on fire from game 1. And then we kind of fell apart. And people are looking on this and saying, maybe we're just trying to take our time, pace ourselves a little bit, work our way into a rhythm, a bit like what you see at Manchester City. I don't think that's the case, because when you look at the games that we've played so far this season, there's only 1 or 2 of them. And I mean in the whole season as well. Yeah. There's only 1 or 2 of them that you can say, yeah, Arsenal dominated that game. And what I mean by dominated is in terms of scoreline more than performance, because we always have a tendency of dominating the ball now anyway, and I think you'll see that again this weekend. I think we will come to your house and dominate the ball, because that's what we are, possession-based team. But in terms of creating chances, finishing chances, there's only Bournemouth and PSV so far this season where Arsenal have been clinical and, look like the Arsenal of last season. Apart from that, we created chances against Everton. Maybe should have had more goals. Of course, Trossard scored a brilliant goal. Then you're looking at games like Nottingham Forest. If that game had gone for 10 more minutes, maybe we don't win the game. Elanga was causing us a lot of problems. The Crystal Palace game, we won it by a penalty, controversial penalty, in my opinion. Man United, yeah, it looked comfortable in the end when you read the scoreline. But in actual fact, Garnacho was a Nats cock away from, getting them 3 points. So it's mad at the moment. And at the end of the day, it's a results-based business. So you can't complain too much because we are getting the results. But the performances have to improve. And
exactly,
that's why I'm not necessarily going into this game saying that we're going to absolutely pump Chelsea. If this was last season, then yeah, I'd sit here and say we're going to pump you because of the way.
This is exactly the problem that I had. I've been spoken to certain Arsenal fans. I've been onto the spaces and that. It's a bit of a weird one because every Arsenal fan that I've been spoken to, they've been overconfident in some ways after the results of Man City. Because you lot haven't beat Man City for about 8 years. Of course, you're gonna be joyous about it, but at the same time, when I heard Arsenal fans, oh, it's Chelsea, they mean nothing. Like, I mean, come on, like I understand the overconfidence of it, but let's not get carried away with it, because this is one of the games like you guys want to win so badly because of the record that you guys had in the Stamford Bridge in recent times, and the fact that if let's say if this results goes wrong for Arsenal, it goes to back normal starting position again. So that's my thoughts about it. But when I look at Arsenal this season, I think they've been. That you guys haven't been looked the same last season. I think you said it like a couple of streams ago. It wasn't on Terrace that you guys have the same amount of goals in October as last season. So if I'm not mistaken. Is that true?
I don't know actually. To be fair, the only stat that I look at is points on the board, and according to the stats, apparently we have 2 more points at this stage of the season this season than what we did last season. So
We still did nothing. Still,
yeah, and this is the thing, and with the whole pressure thing, right?
yeah.
We spoke about how there's more pressure on Arsenal to win this game, and I think that's absolutely right. The thing that let us down last season was these players struggled in pressure moments. When it was 8 points clear, 8 games to go, expected to win the league, we crumbled.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see if there's been a mentality shift at Arsenal this season. Obviously we brought in the likes of Declan Rice, who I think's been absolutely outstanding since he's come into Arsenal. He was outstanding at West Ham anyway, but he took to Arsenal like a duck to water. I think he's been brilliant, and his leadership skills obviously is going to help as well on the pitch. But then, really, like when you look at it, let's talk Havertz, because I'm not a fan
Interesting.
of Kai Havertz. Not a fan of Kai Havertz at all. It's the manager's decision, so we're being told to bring him in. After not great seasons at Chelsea. I mean, what did you make of Kai Havertz when he was at Chelsea?
When he signed for Chelsea, Kai Havertz, it was a bit an unknown quantity. So he came in from Bundesliga Leverkusen. I thought he was playing as a 10. We try him as a right wing. We try him as a false 9. We try him as a left wing. It's been underperforming the last couple of years, and put Champions League final goals aside and the Club World Cup as well. He's been performing not that good, like really, really bad in Chelsea standards. And that's why I feel like last season, you should be the one that getting Chelsea out of this mess. But at the same time, you're performing really that bad. He only had that one purple patch moment that is the month of March. After that, he goes disappear.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. And this is why I have a big problem with Arsenal and Arteta bringing the likes of Kai Havertz in. I think we all know he's got ability. Yeah, because if he didn't have ability, Chelsea wouldn't have signed him in the first place for the money that they paid for him at the time, which was a lot of money. I think it was almost a record buy, weren't it? It was like 70 odd million at the time, but obviously the market's become more inflated since then. But I think I might be wrong in saying, but I think it was one of Chelsea's record signings in terms of money. It was
one of the record signings at that time.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, in terms of ability, we know it's there. But like you just said, when you're a team that struggles, or you go through moments of where you need players to take the game by the scruff of the neck to, raise the levels, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. And that's what we needed in the summer transfer window. We needed level raisers, people that are going to take the game by the scruff of the neck and be the difference between you getting 3 points or 1 point or no points. And I think Declan Rice does that. I think David Raya does that. I just don't think Kai Havertz does that, unfortunately. But it's going to be interesting, bro, because I talk about this quite a lot, building up to this game. Is it written in the stars that Kai Havertz comes back to Stamford Bridge and scores the winner?
I would not be surprised at all. And I think back in the day as well, I used to watch in the 98 especially, you got lots of Wanko Kanu scored that hat-trick goal where we went 2-0 up. And then Robin van Persie scored a hat trick at Stamford Bridge in 2011. And you, again, like I would not be surprised if he kind of delivered one of those moments and then just shut Stamford Bridge up. And that is the habit that we always had. We always give a players a career, like Nketiah when we lost 4-2 to you guys. We give a career to Martinelli when Kante made that mistake in 3 years ago. And I would not be surprised if Kai Havertz going to score at Stamford Bridge, and also, like you said, might be Mykhailo Mudryk as well, because Arsenal fan has been twerking him for the last 9 months now, and I will not. If he does that, it's kind of like it will really feel an icing on the cake in that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, talking of Mykhailo Mudryk, right?
Yeah.
I was an Arsenal fan who didn't want Mykhailo Mudryk, even when we was linked to him. I said, don't know enough about this kid. Not sure he's of the level for the Premier League. We've seen many players come in, from foreign leagues to the Premier League and flop. And they've been better players like, for example, your Diego Forlans, your Andriy Shevchenko's, them kind of players came into the Premier League, couldn't handle it. And I was just looking at him and thinking, he's not played that much football for Shakhtar either, really. I mean, it's clear to see he's got talent. There's no doubt about that. But £88 million worth? I thought, no way. No way. So I was quite pleased when we didn't sign him anyway, even regardless of whether he would have come into Chelsea and had a really good, spell, which obviously, he's been a bit underwhelming so far. But, I was never really an advocate for Mykhailo Mudryk at all. So it was ironic to me to see majority of the Arsenal fans that were twerking for Mudryk now slating him hard online for the way that he's been at Chelsea.
I've seen some Arsenal fans putting photo of him in the McDonald's. A couple of weeks ago, I seen some videos of Mudryk apparently taking a photo with one of the Arsenal fans, and then he said London is red. Then he said, why are you taking a photo with me? I was just like, come on, guys. I mean, you know what? Your fan base has been acting weird of a bunch. Don't get me mistaken. I'm not speaking on your term, but some of your fan base, I mean, it's just like the obsession with us is just insane.
Yeah, and this is Arsenal fans in a nutshell, especially if you spend most of your time on Twitter, because I tell you, they're the worst Arsenal fans of all. Yeah, so many that just hide behind the keyboard and say some stupid things, and you just think where did you come from? Honestly, where? But yeah, I mean, in terms of the game, obviously, like we've just discussed, the pressure's on Arsenal. We will expect Arsenal to go to Stamford Bridge and win this game. How do you see the game going? Do you think Chelsea can get a result, or where do you think the key battles will be as well? Because obviously, so far Chelsea haven't been very clinical in terms of finishing their chances in front of goal. Do you think that will be an issue for Chelsea, maybe even Arsenal as well? Because we ain't been most clinical. And what about the midfield as well? Do you think the midfield?
For me, yeah, I think it's a battle of the midfield. So whoever who controls the midfield and also can control that final third will be the one that's taking this game. I don't think this game will be like a 2, maybe 3 goal margin. At least maybe 2 max, though. 2 goal margin maximum. The only way that we can take the game to you guys is if we frustrate you guys for the first 60 minutes. Because I just think that Poch's going to play pragmatic football. It's going to sit back and wait, be patient about it. And if we can hold on till 0-0 till half time, that is where that the game kind of changed a lot by the time we get to the second half. So if we can frustrate you guys, I think we can pick enough results. I would not be surprised if we're going to end it like a draw, maybe 1-1 or maybe a 0-0. But at the same time, whoever scores first will control the whole of the game.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I'd say about both of our teams is we're both very good defensively, when you look at the stats, I believe Arsenal have got the best defensive record in the league so far this season, and Chelsea second as well in terms of that. So it's going to be tough for either team to break the other down. I think you're right. I think the midfield will be important, but I do think that the front three for either side will be important as well. Can they take their chances when they arise? Because if you're playing against a defence that is as good as what it says on paper, you're not going to get many chances in the game. And, you know, for either side. So you're going to have players that are clinical in front of goal. I think that's where both teams struggle so far this season. And it's going to be interesting to see how both teams cope with that, to be fair. And the only thing that I would say in the reason as to why I'm confident that we win this game is because I believe, and I haven't looked at the news, so people that are watching, you can inform me a bit more on this. I believe Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and Gabby Jesus are all fit and available for this game. If Mikel Arteta plays them as the front three, then I believe we win this game purely and simply because we will take our chances more than what you guys will. With, I don't know who your front three would be. I'm assuming it'll be Nicholas Jackson up front.
Yeah, Nicholas Jackson, probably Sterling and Cole Palmer.
Yeah, so them three there. I mean, Cole Palmer, young, he's a good player. He's dangerous. But I don't know. I just don't see where your goals are going to come from. That's the only thing from Chelsea, unless maybe you score from a set piece. I don't know.
Yeah, that is the thing. Like if we can frustrate you guys, like I said, and you're right. Like there's going to be one of the set piece goals that going to come from us, and the fact that our XG set is like we're the fourth in terms of XG, it just goes to show that how struggling we are going forward. Like discount Burnley and Fulham away, and both of our teams that we should have taken those chances easily. But this will be our first test against the top six that are challenging for the title after Liverpool in the beginning. So we'll see how it goes. But at the same time, I will not be surprised if somehow we're picking up results.
Yeah. And it's funny, it's ironic because everybody does the big build up to these games, you know, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Arsenal, whoever it may be, the top six. And normally when there's a big build up to games like this, it ends up being one of the most boringest games you'll ever watch in your life. Or it ends up, you know, kind of ending in a draw, like you say. I mean, the build up to the Arsenal Man City game, everybody was excited about it. I must have dropped about 3 or 4 videos that week just talking about Arsenal Man City. And then I was watching and I was like, Jesus, this is one of the most boringest games I've ever watched in my life. But yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how both teams cope. What do you think? Combined 11. Do you think you could get any Chelsea players in the combined 11?
Probably 2 of them, in my opinion. 2.
Okay,
yeah.
That's interesting. So let's go for it then. Goalkeeper.
I'll go your goalkeeper, I can't lie.
David Raya, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of goalkeepers, you know, we're going to have to talk about Aaron Ramsdale as well because he came out in an interview. I'm not sure if you've seen this.
Yeah.
But he came out in an interview talking about, you know, how he's been dropped and it's affecting him a little bit, and him and David Raya still have a good relationship and all this, that, and the other. Just on that, right? Yeah. Stop talking. I hate players that do this, right? Stop talking. Well. Yeah. Do your talking on the pitch. Do your talking.
You remind me of Lukaku. You remind me of Lukaku as well.
This is it, bro. And I hate players like that. Players like that feel like they're entitled, right? And look, I have no issues with Aaron Ramsdale, you know, personally, because in all honesty, did he make that much of an error to be dropped? Probably not. But at the same time, is David Raya an improvement on Aaron Ramsdale? I think quite possibly, very, very slightly in terms of his distribution, definitely. But in terms of, you know, his overall ability as a goalkeeper, I think they're very similar. And that's just my opinion on it. But, you know, stop talking in the media. It doesn't do anybody any favors.
Mm-hmm.
And all it does is just make you look like a crybaby, right?
Yeah.
If you're that adamant that you should be back being Arsenal's number one, fight for your place. Give the manager a decision to make. Yeah, that's what I want to see. And that's what competition's all about. It's not about, you know, when you're at a top club, you
Mm-hmm.
have 15 players, you know,
Oh, yeah,
all
100%.
fighting for a place in that starting 11.
There's always going to be that one player not going to be happy, isn't it? That's the thing.
Exactly, bro. And this is the thing, right? If you're at a top club like that, you got to expect this competition for places, and you've got to be able to, you know, try and overcome it. And if you can't overcome it, then you're obviously not good enough. But talking in the media doesn't do him or anybody else any favors.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Aaron Ramsdale. You know, we'll move on from that. So we go on David Raya in goal. Right back.
If I have a full healthy right back at the moment, I would put Reece James, but I haven't seen him much lately, so I'll stick to your right back.
Okay, that's interesting. I think if you go on ability, then I think you're right. I think Reece James should be the right back. But that guy, like, he reminds me of Jack Wilshere in a
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
You know, Jack Wilshere, such a talented player, but just injury after injury after injury. I mean, do you think that's going to kill his career?
Absolutely. This is, I think, God, I lost count. This is probably his fifth injury, hamstring injury so far. Boy, it's like, oh, man, like it's just like this. Reece James cannot catch a break, and this is the guy that he was handpicked by Pochettino to be the club captain, and our club captain is in the sideline, and also our vice club captain also in the sideline. So it's a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, do you think it's down to Reece James? Do you think he maybe doesn't look after his body as well as what he should do, which is why he keeps picking up these reoccurring injuries? Because that was always kind of thrown at Jack Wilshere. You know, Jack Wilshere got that one major injury, and then it just seemed to be one after the other, after the other, after the other. Or do you think it's just genuine bad luck?
A bit of both. I would say one, like I agree with you in terms of not taking care of himself. You know, in terms of the healthy body, but at the same time, he was given a chance to do the surgery last season. I don't think I forgot he do it or not, but at the same time, when he limped off after the Liverpool game, I knew he was like, it's going to be out for months at least. Like, it's just insane. Just goes to show that he was top of his peak when, you know, by the time when we had Tuchel at that time. But ever since then, like, he goes way downhill, and then we had to put most of the games with Aspilicueta as a right back. Remember after Milan game when he sustained that injury? When I think it was before Villa game, he sustained the injury because of apparently he took a public flight back to England in an easy jet. Apparently that's what caused him injury in that. He's out till he was out until latter stage of the when Potter gets sacked in April, but then you know what? Let's just the club decide that let's just tie this up. Put Reece James on the sideline and let him take his time to heal and get that surgery going. But it's when he comes back again. By the time we get to the new season with Pochettino against Liverpool, he'll limp off again. It's just insane. Like I would put the same bracket as Jack Wilshere, but also. Was it also Theo Walcott getting injury prone player? Was he injured a lot though, Theo Walcott?
Reasonably. I mean, I wouldn't have said that he was as injury prone as what Reece James and Jack Wilshere are. I'm just trying to think of another Arsenal. Abu Dhabi. Diaby. Always on the sidelines. He may as well have been sponsored by the NHS. Yeah. That guy was in medical room after medical room after medical room. He spent more time in the medical room than he did on the pitch. And that's another guy who was super, super talented. When he came into Arsenal, he was very much a likened to Patrick Vieira because of his, dominance in the midfield. He's tall, physical, very, very, very talented player. But, another one that you didn't get to see his full potential because, of the injury-prone side of things. And I think you're going to see a similar thing with Reece James, unfortunately. I think if he could keep himself fit, he'd probably arguably be one of the best right backs in world football by now. But the only reason that isn't the case is because of these injuries. So I do feel bad for him, and he's English as well. So.
Plus, I think he's going to lose his chance to the Euro squad next year as well if he keeps picking these injuries. That is sad for him because I like to see him playing in one of the Euros matches next year.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, we're going Reece James as right back, if fit. But, of course, if he's not fit, then it has to be Ben White. Centre-back pairing.
Ooh. I mean, Thiago Silva has been underperforming last couple of games. I can't lie. Oh, man. I would not put Disasi in there. I'll put your centre-backs, though. I can't lie.
You're going to go Saliba and Gabriel, yeah?
Yeah. What do you think of those two, actually? Like, has they been that good this season, or has been part
Saliba, bro, like, I watched it from last season because I went to the Emirates, watched the Emirates Cup game.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I'd seen, Saliba play for Arsenal. And you could just tell from that game that this guy was going to be really, really good. But every single game that he plays for Arsenal, he just gets better and better and better and better. And, this guy is going to be, hopefully if, he can stay fit as well and not, pick up injuries and stuff. I think in a few years' time, we'll be talking about Saliba as the best centre-back in world football. And it's going to be very difficult for Arsenal to keep hold of him, I think. Unless we start winning major trophies and that, I think you're going to see in a couple of years that, the likes of Real Madrid will come knocking on the door for William Saliba. Mm-hmm. And if they do, like I say, we have to be winning major honours and that for him to want to stay at Arsenal. Because who wouldn't want to go to Real Madrid? Let's be honest. They win everything all the time. They're the most decorated football club in world football. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult to keep hold of him. But, yeah, William Saliba's been immense for Arsenal this season. And Gabriel, in fairness to him, right, he has bozo moments. He has moments where...
David Luiz-esque moments, a bit, isn't
he? Yeah, but not to the level of David Luiz. David Luiz had a lot of bozo moments, at times. Whereas Gabriel, he has a tendency of sometimes making a bit of an error, making a bit of a fool of himself. And sometimes with Gabriel, I noticed that if he makes a mistake that leads to a goal, he has a poor game for the rest of the game. It's almost like he cannot get that out of his head. It's like a mental block to him. But again, against Manchester City, he was unplayable. Absolutely unplayable. Him and Saliba at the back were excellent for Arsenal. And they have been pretty much all season. And they're a big part of the reason why we have got 20 points in our first opening 8 games. Because, like I said, we haven't been clinical. But then we haven't really conceded too many chances and too many goals. So I think it's difficult to not put them two at centre-back. I think you're right. I would have accepted, Thiago Silva because for a guy who's, what is he now, 39?
39 now. He's 39.
39 years old, still playing at the top level in the Premier League. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. To be doing that at 39 years old in Premier League and still be one of the best centre-backs in the league is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think as of now, I think we'd have to go Saliba and Gabriel. Left back.
If I have a full fit left back, I would put Ben Chilwell, but at the moment, I'll put Zinchenko in there.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you not rate Zinchenko or?
Um, I like him as well. He's also not a player like Chilwell, but not injury prone player like Chilwell. But Zinchenko for me has a bit of mix and moments in and out. Even last season, I feel like with Zinchenko, I think he's one of the important left back in like last year though. Like you got good money for that Zinchenko of Man City though, but so far what I've seen Zinchenko, I haven't been seeing too well much. Is he been playing that good? Because to be fair for me, I haven't monitored as much as you do, but I'm sure you know well that like what does he look like basically this season?
Yeah, see, Zinchenko, again, he's another player that I like, but I'm not a massive fan of in that left back role. Obviously it's clear to see what he's brings to the team. He does that inverted role very, very well. He drags himself into the midfield, controls possession. He's definitely better going forward. Defensively, if you're just basing it off defensively, he has to be one of the worst left backs in the league.
Same
And
like Chilwell.
that's
Chilwell, it's like he likes going forward, but defensively,
yeah. But the one thing that I will say with Zinchenko is he can pick a pass. He is very good at that. He's very good at retaining possession as well, and that also adds to Arsenal in terms of their, being able to really press high and suffocate teams. So from that aspect, yeah, I would pick Zinchenko because even going forward, I think Zinchenko is probably better than Chilwell going forward. But yeah, I mean, defensively, not great at all, bro. If you look at Arsenal last season when we capitulated, against teams like Southampton and that, a lot of the goals we were conceding was coming down Zinchenko's side. So he can be got at. He can be got at. And it'll be interesting to see if you guys can expose that. I mean, for an example, right, if you was to play Mykhailo Mudryk on the right-hand side against us, I'd be worried. Not because I think Mykhailo Mudryk has been great for Chelsea, but just looking at the way that Zinchenko inverts into midfield, gets caught out of position, and then you got Mudryk's pace, exposing that space on that left-hand side.
yeah.
I'd be a little bit worried about that. I ain't going to lie. I would. So it's going to be interesting to see what Pochettino does to try and, expose that a little bit. Midfield too. Now, this is an interesting one, right? Because obviously Arsenal have got Thomas Partey, they've got Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Jorginho, to name the few. And Arsenal fans, and I think all football fans, will tell you that Arsenal's best midfield pairing is Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. But we've actually yet to see Thomas Partey and Declan Rice in the midfield together for a full 90 minutes so far. And it's been mainly Rice and Havertz. Of course, that's been because of Partey's injury as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if Arteta goes with Partey and Rice or whether he sticks with, Kai Havertz in there possibly. And then, of course, you guys, you've got the likes of Caicedo now. Hasn't came in and been that great. You got Enzo Fernandez as well. You've got Lavia as well. I don't know if is he going to be fit for this game?
Lavia's going to be out till next month at least. So
Lavia's out until next month, but even then, like, because we're not necessarily basing this on injured players. We're just basing this on squads as a whole.
yeah.
I mean, who would you go for in the midfield?
At the moment, like on the forum, probably Gallagher, but as a full healthy 11, probably Enzo. So if we base it on the term like on a purple patch right now, probably Gallagher, but as a whole, like Enzo's got to be in there.
Yeah,
it's difficult. This is difficult. I can't lie.
It is difficult because there's a lot of talented players there. I think Enzo Fernandez would be better suited. in that kind of Odegaard role in and around the 10 area.
Yeah.
And obviously you've played him a bit deeper than that. And I think that's why you brought in Caicedo and Lavia. So maybe Enzo can play a bit further forward and really hurt teams. I don't know. It depends how you want to set up. Like, do you go with a lone 6 and then kind of 2 8s? Or do you go with 2 maybe more defensive-minded midfielders and then the 10 in front, kind of like what Arsenal do? I think Declan Rice has to be in there. There's no question about it.
No question. It's been a great season. I can't lie.
And then you got to look at ability-wise. Is Thomas Partey better than Enzo Fernandez or Lavia?
I think Enzo is probably better in terms of creating that pass into that final third than Thomas Partey. Ability-wise, I think Thomas Partey might be better in a bit. Like, I think Enzo Fernandez's weakness has always been that a pace of getting back and defend. But going forward, Enzo is a monster.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll give you Enzo Fernandez, right? I'll give you Enzo Fernandez.
Fair.
I think when you look at it as a whole, even if you go back to last season, Thomas Partey was very good for Arsenal, but he let us down in the pressure moments. You know, he wasn't playing very well at all in the pressure moments. Don't know whether he was carrying an injury because that guy, again, always seems to be on the shelf. You know, maybe he should be sponsored by the NHS as well because it's easy how many times this guy gets injured. And yeah, I'd quite like that, you know. I think Enzo Fernandez would be the perfect player to fit into this Arsenal system, to be honest with you.
He'd get into any other team in the top 6, 100%.
I think he would because, like you say, he plays that further forward. He's more of an attack-minded midfielder. You could play with the lone 6 of Declan Rice, who's pretty much everywhere on the pitch, does his defensive duties very well. And then you could have, you know, kind of 2 attack-minded midfielders in Enzo Fernandez, and Martin Odegaard for me gets in there as well. But then, saying that, Odegaard hasn't been great for Arsenal so far this season.
You reckon? Interesting. This is the first time I hear this, you know.
Yeah, Odegaard's a weird one, right? I mean, I call him.
Is it because of the Havertz? Is it because of the Havertz signing kind of ruined the system a bit?
Quite possibly, because I think Odegaard and Xhaka worked really well together last season. Xhaka was picking up positions, you know, further forward, easier for Odegaard to kind of find him. Whereas Havertz isn't really taken to that role very, very well so far. But Odegaard's a weird one. I kind of call him Ozilgaard because he has a tendency of going missing in big games. You know, even the Man City game, I think he was one of the worst players on the pitch.
I think he's the worst last week, in my opinion. I think he's the worst.
Yeah. And this is the problem with Odegaard. You know, he's very, very good on his day. But then sometimes, when he has poor games, he don't just have a poor game. He has a poor game. So, yeah, kind of similar to Mesut Ozil in a way. Very similar. I mean, Curtis Shaw. I don't know if you've heard Curtis Shaw.
Yeah.
Curtis Shaw calls him Solarguard because he only comes out on a nice hot sunny day. So, yeah. Odegaard goes missing a lot. I think... Can you take Odegaard out of there, though?
I can't lie. If I would have picked Gallagher or Odegaard, I would pick Odegaard right now, you know.
Okay. We'll stick with that 3 then. We'll go with Rice, Enzo, and Odegaard.
Yeah.
Front 3.
Ooh. Front 3. Jesus should have been up front. Jesus. I put Bukayo Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left.
So Arsenal.
Even though Raheem Sterling has been good last couple of games, but I think so far, like overall, the season's been Arsenal's season so far.
I think Sterling actually started the season pretty well for Chelsea. And like you say, he's kind of fallen off a little bit in the last couple of games. I just think the Sterling that we're seeing at Chelsea is not the same Sterling that we're seeing, as what we see at Man City.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the thing about Sterling is he's a system player. I don't think he's that talented individually, but I think when you've got the right system around him, he looks very good, and I think that's what we see at City. A Sterling who's very good with the right system around him. So, yeah, I think you're right. Not Nketiah up front though.
Jesus probably up front, isn't he? Jesus played a lot this season, or
Jesus started the season out injured, and that's why we've been playing Nketiah. But it's been a weird one, right? Because our front three has had injuries all at different times. So Jesus started the season injured. Then Martinelli got injured. And then Bukayo Saka obviously spent the Man City game out.
You know what? I would put Trossard in there. Sorry, I would put Trossard in there.
Trossard instead of
Jesus.
Instead of Jesus. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think if we start with the front three of Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, I do think that's our most potent front three. But I don't trust Mikel Arteta at all. He seems to have this fetish with playing Eddie Nketiah for some unknown.
Yeah, it's been weird. I can't lie. The obsession of it.
And look, I know he scored against you. I think it was last season, was it, or was it?
Well, 2 seasons ago, actually.
Yeah, the season before last. But he's not a great player at all, and he's the kind of player that we need to move on from, definitely. Can you see Jorginho starting for Arsenal?
Could be, I can't lie. You might. I think you guys might do Jorginho Rice partnership in the middle against us. I don't know with the current situation of the Thomas Partey, if let's say Arteta want to stick Jorginho and Declan Rice, yeah, you know what? I think either way, like you guys gonna have dominate us in the beginning, and then you guys are gonna have full control of the game regardless. So, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like I would not be surprised if you guys gonna start Jorginho, and then you can have Rice, and then Odegaard in the midfield three.
Okay. Score prediction. We're at that time. Score prediction. What are you saying, bro? Come on, pump your chest.
My head says I would like to see us win one time, because we haven't picked up a win against you guys at the Bridge since the sorry goals at when we had that 3-2 win. You know what? My head's saying we got a win, but I'm gonna say my heart, man. I think it's gonna be a draw, 1-1.
You think a draw, yeah?
Yeah.
I find score predictions so difficult, right? Because the last time that I pumped my chest was the North London derby that we just played. And I came on here and I said that Spurs were getting slapped, ruined, back down to mid-table. I said all of that. And in reality, what actually happened was Spurs should have won the game. So I think I'm not going to pump my chest too much because of that. But I do think Arsenal will win this game, providing that man above me, or that man behind me makes the right decisions in terms of the starting 11. And definitely one thing that I noticed from the Man City game is his in-game management was very good in that game. He brought on the substitutions at the right time and, everything else. I have a big complaint with Mikel Arteta when it comes to in-game management. So it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with the in-game management against Chelsea. So
you got Sevilla as well, though. That's the thing.
We do, and that's a game we have to win. That's a game we have to win. If we don't go there and win, then we could be like, if we lose that game, we could be looking at Europa League football. That's how poor that Lens result was. So yeah, it's crazy really, because we probably got the easiest Champions League group apart from Manchester City. So we've got a lot to think about. I'm gonna go 3-1 Arsenal. I do think we will concede. I do think it will probably be from a set piece. But again, if we play that front three, we play the midfield two that I want to see of Partey and Rice with our back line as well. I don't see how we don't come away from Stamford Bridge with all 3 points personally.
Yeah.
But it's a funny old game, football, bro. You never know. You never know.
That's the thing, because again, I said in the beginning, like, this is the pressure is different with you guys and Chelsea. I think with Chelsea, it's all about making the atmosphere to be like, a bit of a fortress in some say, because last couple of years, I've been going to a lot of games last season, since the lockdown haven't even restarted in the Premier League again. Like, atmosphere-wise has been not that great at the Bridge. Even at the big games, I've seen some couple of empty seats, and that is one key aspect that I would like to see us on Saturday, is making that Stamford Bridge as a fortress again, and to give Arsenal players a hard time to play their game. And I think that Chelsea fans have to back the players the full 90 minutes. That's the thing that I would like to see from our fan base.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to need, the fans behind the team. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But listen, guys, we've done an hour. I appreciate Fats for coming on. Big up yourself. You're always welcome on the channel, my friend. So yeah, it's nice to hear a level-headed Chelsea fan. Do you know what I mean? You don't come across them very often, so it's crazy. It's crazy. But listen, guys, make sure you slap up the likes on the way out. Of course, hit the subscribe button as well. I've got Lucas here asking me, do I have Instagram? All the links to all of my socials are in the description below. So, if you want to come and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be, all my links are below. And also make sure you go and follow Fats as well on Twitter.
Yeah, also subscribe to the Chelsea Fan TV and also Carefree Lewis G as well, guys.
Make sure you do that, guys. Make sure you do that. Fats has just put the link in the chat, so it's easier for you guys to do. So make sure you're doing that. Big up, Fats. Hopefully, in fact, do you know what? Should we do this again? Should we do this again on Saturday? Straight after the game.
Straight after the game, I'll be at the game, though, unfortunately.
Are you going to be at the game, are you? Okay.
I'll be at the game on Saturday.
That's cool. What we'll do then is we'll do a match reaction at some point over the weekend if you're available for that. And yeah, we'll do this again because I think everybody in the chat has enjoyed it. So yeah, big up them. And yeah, we're out of here, guys.
Peace.
Peace.